Hi, it's Michael Grose here from Parenting Ideas. I'd like to welcome you to the third webinar in the Smart Schools webinar series for 2013, specially produced for Parenting Ideas Plus school members. In this webinar, we're looking at managing parents who bully and badger to get their own way. And I'll refer to you back to our strong family school partnership strategy, which we work our way through. There's 6 areas. There's communication, there's client care, there's collegiality. On the left-hand side, of course, on the right-hand side, we have engaging parents, supporting parents, managing parents. And what we're looking at in this particular webinar is as the bottom third, the notion of managing difficult situations which involve parents who bully or badger. We're also looking at that notion of collegiality. We need as a staff or our team to be quite supportive, to be a place where we learn from each other and support each other. So that's where this webinar fits in. It's also supporting PD Perspective and the 10-minute Relationship Builder workshop, both number 17, and we're focusing on managing parents who bully or badger get their own way and all our plus resources for this month. And the reason being is I've had a lot of requests from schools about this very issue. Anecdotally, it appears that bullying and badgering parents seem to be on the rise, with staff, put in difficult situations, situations not of their making where they feel uncomfortable, and very much the notion of how do we deal with these situations. Of course, we want to prevent them in the first place, but sometimes we can be in the situation and we just don't know how to respond or how to react. So this comes from very much many requests which I've had from Parenting Ideas school members, schools, to address the situation. So let's have a look at bullying. Bullying can show itself in many ways. It can be the alpha male puffing out his chest and staring you down. It can be an angry mother threatening to take an issue to a higher authority. Or it can even be a verbal threat, such as, "You'll regret this." So it can be words, words, and more words. But bullying is about intimidation and the use of power to get your own way, as opposed to looking for constructive ways to resolve issues and problems. It's also a workplace health and safety issue. Children in a school have a right to feel safe. Also, teachers have a right to feel safe within their workshop. So it's a very important issue around workplace health and safety, which needs to be addressed. So we're taking this from the notion of skilling teachers up to deal with some of the more difficult situations in which we face ourselves in. There's 2 sorts of power which we have. There's positional power in an organisation, which is, in this case, a school. And that positional power is, often where you fit in a hierarchy will give you power. And people often will take notice of the principal as opposed to the cleaner, for example. Doesn't always happen, but traditionally the principal holds more power than the janitor, so less likely to bully the principal than the janitor or the cleaner. Although in this day and age, it's less likely. So that's an old-fashioned idea. We tend to live more in a flat earth society, and I believe the current generation of parents will often bully the principal as much as they bully the cleaner. However, I think you get the point there. The position does sometimes give you power. But there's another sort of power which we want to have, which is personal power. Your capacities to deal with the different situations in which you find yourself in. So in some ways, your skill sets and strategies, whether you're the cleaner or you're the principal in a school or the headmaster in a school, you can have the same skill sets. Obviously, though, if you're principal, you've dealt with more sort of situations involving parents than the cleaner or an inexperienced teacher. So often what will come with experience is often capacity as well. But no matter where you are in the organisation, no matter where you are in your school, we can all build up our capacities. So what I look at is, in this particular webinar, 8 defensive strategies or skill sets which you can use or staff can use. Now, this is just 8 sample strategies. There's all sorts of strategies which we can use to make ourselves more, in some ways, inverted commas, more powerful, more impactful when we're dealing with bullying or badgering parents. So those defensive strategies are in front of you there, and I'm just going to quickly run through each of those strategies and give an example of each of them. So firstly, doubling up. Doubling up. Young teachers, particularly young teachers who've been burnt by a particular parent, and burnt I mean who've been bullied in the past by a parent who's badgered them, and that young teacher feels uncomfortable. Well, it's important that next time that they meet with that particular parent that they double up. They shouldn't have to meet with that parent on their own. It's not fair on them at all. They're not learning anything. So doubling up is a great strategy when you're dealing with bullies. If you see bullies like I do as bulldogs, what we do know is a bulldog respects a bigger bulldog or respects 2 bulldogs. So the notion of doubling up can be a colleague who comes in and just sits with the teacher or is in the vicinity, through to a senior colleague who comes in with prior knowledge of the meeting. There's another situation sometimes where we call on another teacher to be present. Excuse me, I feel uncomfortable around this. I'm going to get a colleague to join me. You can also double up within a meeting as well. So the notion of doubling up is an important strategy. Second strategy is how you tactically withdraw or escape from a situation when you feel uncomfortable. It helps to have a line which is rehearsed, such as, "I'm sorry, Mrs. Jones, but if you continue to speak in that way, I'm going to adjourn the meeting. I'm concerned about your son's welfare, just as concerned as you are, but you need to sit down and lower your voice if we're going to continue." So tactically withdraw and being able to escape from a situation is important. And it can even sometimes be where you put your chair. It's a good idea. I've known in some schools in difficult situations where the principal or the teacher will have their chair with the back to the door, so they can quickly make an entrance out or exit from the door. So that tactical withdrawal is an important strategy. Third strategy, when you're dealing with parents who like to badger or bully you, is to keep answers brief. Think politician when you're answering questions around, when you're working with a bullying parent. So what I mean by that is sometimes if you listen to a politician who's dealing with a very skillful interviewer, and that skillful interviewer will try and lead the politician to answer in a certain way, politicians will often keep their answers quite brief. One of the reasons is the more you answer, the more ammunition you're giving the reporter or giving the bully. So the ability to not overstate things, the ability to just give sufficient information that that parent needs to have without justifying everything is an important one. So keeping your answers brief is one way to deal with effectively with parents who bully and badger to get their own way. Fourth strategy is to take your time. In some ways, this is almost the reverse or the opposite of strategy 3. And the notion of taking your time is, and I'll explain that, is around this, that one strategy which bullies will have is to take time away from you, is to shorten time. I want this dealt with now. I want my issue dealt with now, and I want it dealt in this way. And one of the reasons for that is the quicker things are dealt with, the more likely it's going to be done to suit them. And so that ability to slow things down and say, hang on, just wait on for a minute. I've got to get back to you about this once I've discussed it with my team. I need to do a little bit more research around this. Thanks very much for pointing that out. And slowing things down, slowing the pace of things to suit you. So even if that can be asking more questions, finding out more information. Sometimes issues and matters are best dealt with over 2 meetings. Point that out to parents. So that ability to slow the pace and take your time is a really important one. So taking your time, particularly when you're pressured to act in a certain way. The fifth skill or strategy or defensive skill is just simply drawing attention to your discomfort. I just don't feel comfortable talking to you right now. You're yelling at me and I don't feel okay about that. Sometimes just drawing attention to your discomfort is enough to make a bully back off. Not always, but it's worth trying. Sixth skill is a larger skill than number 5. Sixth skill is staying issue focused. A lot of bullies, a lot of badgerers like to focus on the 3 Ps. They like to focus on a position, take a position, and it's their position. This is what I believe about this, and I want to move you towards my position. Second P is they'll talk about personality. It'll be another teacher, perhaps. It may be another parent, another child. It may even you. But they say person-focused or personality-focused. And the third P is they'll often stay focused in the past. Past-focused. They'll talk about what happened in the past. That's okay if they're giving information, but they stay dragged on in the past. And they keep referring to what happened in the past. So the 3 Ps are often used by a bully or a badgerer. So your ability to focus on the issue at hand is a significant one, and you need to be able to do that. So it can be something simple like, Mrs. Jones, we're here to help your son. Now, come on, let's look at these options. So always coming back to the issue at hand and looking at the different options. Thanks very much, Mrs. Jones, for bringing that up. That's one point. But here are the issues at hand. This is what we need to be focusing on right now. So stay issue focused yourself and try and bring the other parents' focus on the issue at hand, not the 3 Ps. Defensive skill number 7 is the ability to assert yourself. Stay assertive. My colleague, Michael Grinder from the United States, who does such wonderful work around the world working with school teams, school heads and teachers around being effective and being effective communicators with your colleagues, with pupils, and also with parents has been a very significant one. And one of the wonderful frameworks which he has is around the notion of being a cat or a dog. And he talks about the notion of being a dog, which is a link to a household pet. You know, the old dog, if anyone has a dog, you know the dog is friendly, is approachable. And to a dog, you're just your family. So if you want to be approachable, you go to your dog. And when you go to your dog, your voice goes up and down, your head will go up and down, and you're a very friendly and approachable person. The opposite of that, if anyone has a cat, you'll know that the cat is not really worried about having a relationship with you. The cat's the credible side. So when you go to your cat, your head stays still. Your voice flattens out, and your voice will slow down. You'll also pause as well. Your eyes won't blink. You'll make eye contact with the person, or at times, when you go to your cat, you'll take your eye contact away. And what happens when you do that is your breathing will slow down as well, and you become very centered. Bullies usually always back off when they're dealing with an assertive person, a truly assertive person. Makes them back off, and it's something which they pick up themselves. So your ability to slow your voice down, your ability to keep your head still, your ability to pause, which underlines the important words that you have, and your ability not to blink or even to break eye contact is really significant when you're dealing with a bully. That's what true assertion is. It's something you can stand and you practice in a mirror, and it gives you incredible power. I don't mean power in that sense of overpowering, but power in a sense of being very calm and very centered. And Michael has taught me that the greatest leadership skill that you'll have is the ability to stay calm in a crisis and the ability to stay calm when there's chaos around you, and the ability to stay calm when someone is trying to control you. So number 7 is a big skill. It's assert yourself. Number 8, stick to the school policy. Bullies and badgerers will often want to put a circle around you and try and circle you off and fence you off from the rest of the staff. They'll try and treat you and want you to be a free agent for their child. Happens less with experienced teachers and school leaders, but often happens with inexperienced teachers. So the key around there is to stick to your school policy. Always just talk about, this is what we do in our school. We talk about this in our school policy. These are our protocols. Always stick to school policy. One of the reasons around that is that once you go outside school policy, or once you go outside what the school represents, any teacher's in trouble. The bullies won. And also what we do know is that when you stick with the school policy and the protocols, you're actually representing, you've got the whole school behind you. Not only have you got the whole school behind you, but you've probably got a system behind you as well, which is the Catholic Education Office, the State Education Department, the Independent Schools Commission, or whatever the system is. So it goes system, it goes school, and it goes individual. So when you stick with your school policy, you've got layers behind you. Really important that you do that from a personal perspective, and obviously from a very practical perspective if something, if an issue is taken any further as well. So there we have 8 simple defensive strategies. Probably not so simple, some of them, but they're examples of some of the strategies which we can put in place as individuals and also as schools. It's doubling up. The ability to double up is a very important one, particularly for less experienced teachers and those teachers have had bad experiences in the past with bullies. To tactically withdraw, get the hell out of a situation, get the hell out of it early if you feel uncomfortable. Keep your answers brief. When a parent's trying to railroad you down a path that they're making, take your time. Slow things down. It's defensive strategy number 4. Draw attention to your discomfort. It's defensive strategy number 5. Number 6, stay issue focused. 3 P's, position, past and person are what bullies often go to. You need to stay focused on that issue at hand. Number 7, the ability to assert yourself, to be centered, to be calm when there's chaos, a crisis, or someone's trying to control you is perhaps the key strategy there, and something we can all practice on each other and also in front of a mirror. And the 8th strategy is stick to school policy. Don't be railroaded down the path outside of school protocols or school policy. So there are 8 strategies which you as a staff can talk about, can practice, but in many ways this is just to get you started. As I say, we've got PD perspective. I said at the start of the webinar, you have a PD perspective which focuses on those 8 strategies, and that's also to get your staff talking. And 10-minute workshop number 17 is a workshop which can be run over 1 hour or 2 hours, which helps your staff or helps your school develop a set of protocols and policies around bullying and badgering. Starts off getting your staff to discuss situations in the past where they felt bullied, so they start to identify bullied situations. Second, talk about the strategies which work and which don't work. And the third step is to start to build up a set of protocols which you can use in your school so that you're starting to work collegiately around this bullying and badgering issue. So I'd like to thank you for joining in this important webinar, and I invite you to join us again in Term 4 for Term 4's webinar, which I'll tell you about in the PSM update, most likely the October PSM update. So thanks very much for joining us for this webinar, and all the very best, and goodbye from Michael Grose and Parenting Ideas.